Now, there's no denying that things on our political front in Kenya are moving extremely fast. Indeed, they're moving at lightning speed. A friend who sends me email regularly put it in a very nice way, very revealing, an excellent way, in fact. And this is what she said. Things are moving so fast in Kenya that if you take a commercial break to make popcorn haitaiva before some major developments which you'll miss during a commercial break happen. And that, I agree with that totally. That is exactly what it is. For those who are spiritual, it means that we are rapidly moving towards a preordained, a pre-decided conclusion. Now, when things are moving at that speed, it's very easy to get confused. I'll just give you one quick example. We learn about the Kaputin move, through an authority, somebody who's in politics, somebody who's fighting a war along with Sonko. Of course, I'm talking about Simon Bogwa, the Yala legislator. So we learned that the other day. He makes a statement, he actually reveals, he even names names. Then, while we are taking that in, before it has even sunk in, a few days later, President Uhuru Kenyatta makes a speech and says, mambo ya referendum, we don't have time. Now, that is total confusion. Because the first question is, what happens to the Kaputin plan? What happens to Gideon Moi? Will the handshake survive the shelving of a referendum? Because the referendum was one which was supposed to make very key structural changes to the way Kenyans are governed, which hopefully was supposed to correct things in the country so that we avoid what happened last August ever happening in Kenya again. We avoid this tension during every election cycle. Indeed, it's very easy for an analyst just to give up. If you've noticed something, most of our established analysts are struggling. And I'll tell you why they're struggling. You don't have to agree with me. That's my view. You're welcome to your own view. I'll not hate you for your view. I'll not hate you for telling me, Chris, you're wrong because of 1, 2, 3. The reason why they're struggling is because the only consistent thing that has been happening on our political front is the unexpected. That which has never happened before. That immediately cancels out anybody's experience because experience cannot help them. In fact, they're left puzzled and baffled. In fact, the truth is, nothing makes sense. That is, until you factor in God Almighty. Now, I'm very much aware of the fact that in our country, in our good country called Kenya, people never mix God with political analysis. It has never been done before. Which is why I got asked a question the other day. Chris, are you telling us you know God's mind? Are you telling us that you know what God is thinking of doing in Kenya? And then that comment, of course, is very quickly followed by a long story about false prophets. Chris, beware. There are so many false prophets around, etc., etc. Now, without boring you with the details, my answer is very simple. We have a prophetic word on this channel. And so far, that word has been very consistently correct. Consistently 100% correct. And that's from even before the August elections. Anyway, let us analyze exactly what is happening. And the way we're going to do it, we're going to try and get a bird's eye view. When you don't understand why there's a jam on Mombasa Road, a very good idea would be to get a drone up in the air. It gives you a bird's eye view. You notice, there's a lorry which has overturned about 10 kilometers down the road. Then you understand. That is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to fly a drone above the Kenyan political situation and see if we can understand what is happening a little better. If we can get rid of all this confusion that is coming in. Okay, that should be interesting. And I'll do that immediately after the short upcoming commercial break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, for us to understand the Kenyan political situation, we must look at the major players, okay? So that we understand what's the motivation of each player. That will be able to give us a very clear understanding of what is happening. Yeah, because people behave according to what's motivating them. Now, for the purposes of this analysis, we will consider three camps: President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration, Raila Odinga, and William Samoei Ruto. Yeah, three major camps. For now, let us leave out Miguna with due respect to that great Kenyan. And the reason is that currently there's nothing which Miguna has done that has impacted the developments on our political scene. Not that is not popular, not that is not this time is not coming, but we're analyzing the now and here. Okay? So humor me on that. Let us start with the Ruto camp. Okay, now the Ruto camp is very simple. William Samoei Ruto wants to be president of Kenya in 2022. This was agreed on in a deal made as far back as 2013, when William Ruto created the current presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta. Yeah, and the deal was Uhuru does his 10 years, and then Ruto takes over the next 10 years. Now, we all know, according to our brothers in the Rift Valley, that deal was cast in stone. Cannot be changed, will never be changed, under any circumstances cannot be changed. Yeah, fine. Let's move to Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is the major opposition leader. Okay, when Raila Odinga came into these elections, the elections last August, he gave us a promise that the 2017 presidential elections will be the last time, yeah, anybody will do pop. He declared that this was the election where election fiddling would end in Kenya forever. And that is where we got statements: wakihesabu tunahesabu, wakirusha tunarusha, wakitangaza tunatangaza, wakiiba tunanasa. Well, we know what happened. It didn't quite work out like that. Yeah, and the election was fiddled with. Yeah, indeed, this was confirmed by a Supreme Court, a landmark Supreme Court ruling, which nullified the August 8th presidential elections. Now, some of you may not agree with me on this one, and you're welcome not to agree with me. But the reason why Raila Odinga got such massive support right across the country is that everybody in Kenya was fed up with the same old. People want change, and Raila Odinga represented that change. Now, let's move to the most complex group, the Uhuru Kenyatta administration. Now, why do I say they're complex? I say they're complex because of the events that took place before August 8th, and even the events that have continued to take place after August 8th. This is the group that is making it very hard for Kenyans to read the political situation. Raila Odinga, very easy to understand. William Ruto, very easy to understand. But the Uhuru Kenyatta administration, complicated. Okay, so we'll take a bit of time to break that down. Now, this where that drawn up there is going to help us a lot, because we'll be able to look at the way this administration has behaved and reacted to situations before the elections and after the elections and right up to the current time to date. And what we're looking for is something that is consistent, yeah, something that keeps on repeating itself. And that thing is, this is the administration that changes its mind, yeah, does an about turn. On that, the Uhuru Kenyatta administration has been extremely consistent. Let's give a few examples. In the Jubilee nominations for governor of Nairobi, it was clear that the decision that had been made by the powers that be was to shut out Sonko from being the Jubilee nominee for Nairobi governor. Very elaborate plans were put in place. A lot of money was spent to ensure that Mike Sonko would never be the Jubilee nominee for Nairobi governor. And it was clear who Jubilee wanted to be Nairobi governor. It's a man called Peter Kenneth. We have recently learned that top officials of Jubilee flew all the way to Canada to speak to Peter Kenneth and to return him to Kenya to be governor of Nairobi. Now, we all know what happened, but the key thing here to note is that somebody changed their mind, and it was decided that they would go ahead with Sonko. However, they'd give him a technocrat as deputy governor of Nairobi. The idea was that the pair would work as a team. Yeah, Sonko would be governor, but then he'd have a deputy governor who's an experienced technocrat. So that was example number one. Example number two. After the repeat elections of 26th October, the Uhuru Kenyatta administration decided that they were going to force themselves onto Kenyans. Opposition leaders had their passports withdrawn. You remember all the money. People arrested, some people were deported, etc., etc. And then in a very sudden about turn, the handshake appeared. Yeah, Jubilee decided that they're not going to follow that path, that instead they are going to have some sort of union with Raila Odinga. And there are many other examples of where this administration has changed its mind. I've just picked two of the most prominent. Conclusion, there's no decisive decision making within the Jubilee administration. Now, why is that? Well, one possible conclusion is that there are two very powerful camps within the Jubilee government. One camp we shall call the radicals. Yeah, the people want to push things, the people want to do things kifua. Yeah, and then the other camp are the realists. Yeah, the guys who are realistic. Yeah, politically realistic. And what happens is that we are getting a seesaw kind of thing. Yeah, the hardliners win and they go ahead with a plan. Then somewhere that plan fails, and then the realistic gentlemen, thank God, come into play, and a major decision is rescinded. Now, the latest evidence of that is that it was quite clear, or it seemed to us, yeah, that Jubilee was serious about the handshake. Even as they continued to do the other things that were against the handshake, they were serious about going forward with the handshake, going into a referendum, yeah, and then doing Kaputin, and then life moves on. Now, based on what the president says, it seems that again, this decision has been rescinded. We have now been told by the president that there's no time for referendum. We should focus on development. Yeah, there's no time to wander all over the country. Yeah, asking people whether they should change the constitution, whether they need a new constitution. Yeah, there's no time for that. We should focus and we should work with what we have. So going forward, we should expect everybody to continue being consistent. Yeah, and therefore we should expect the current government, the Uhuru Kenyatta administration, to keep on rescinding their decisions, to keep on changing lanes. Okay, they have been very consistent on that, and there's no reason why they should stop being consistent. Now, things have become very much clearer, haven't they? Now, we do not yet know who the voice of reason within this administration is, yeah, in terms of advisors. However, we know who the headliners are. Yeah, Yala legislator Simon Bogwa pointed them out to us very clearly. He told us that it is PS Interior, Bwana Karanja Kibicho, and the vice chair of the Jubilee Party, David Murathe. Those are the main people in that camp. Now take careful note of the fact that Fred Matiang'i, who is the Interior CS, has not been mentioned. Okay. Now, in my Club 1999, my latest very sensitive video, indeed the most sensitive video I've ever made, I revealed to you exactly why Matiang'i was not mentioned. It's very important. Yeah, and it's key to understanding exactly what's happening and exactly what is bound to happen shortly in Kenya. If you're not yet a member, just use that email address you see on your screens right now. Yeah, send a blank email. You'll get an immediate automated response giving you payment instructions, how much it costs, everything, and you become a member of Club 1999 PAP, and you'll be able to take in this very important information. But let's move on for now. Now, to understand how this group operates and why this group is very dangerous for Kenya, okay, I'll take you back to the electioneering period last year. Okay, you'll remember I kept on consistently saying something, yeah, about the plans they had in hand, and I said that those plans would not work. And the reason I gave was that their plans had too many moving parts. Remember that? Now, I don't know if you know this, but one of the reasons why a modern car is much more reliable than the older cars is the fact that it has much less moving parts than the older cars had. A lot of things in the modern car have become electronic. Simply put, the more moving parts you have in a machine, the more likely something is going to go wrong. And it's the same when you set out a plan for whatever you want to do. The more you have moving parts in your plan, the more something is bound to go wrong. Even the latest Kaputin plan is very complex. Now, I don't want you to get confused. I know in a recent recording, I said that that Kaputin plan is not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched because a prime minister is not elected directly by the people. Yeah, you know, only shtuka there's a prime minister after the elections, when the leader of the party with the majority in parliament becomes the prime minister. Now, get this. Although, in my view, it is not a far-fetched plan, in my view, it is a complex plan. It's not far-fetched, but it's also a complex plan. As usual, it has too many moving parts. There'll be haggling involved to decide how much power the executive prime minister will have, or even if there'll be an executive prime minister. Then there are people in the mix like Raila Odinga, who is not a pushover by any standards, no matter what anybody thinks about him right now. Bottom line, too many moving parts. Now, apart from the hardliners having plans with too many moving parts, they also have too many balls in the air. For instance, it's clear that they want Governor Mike Sonko out. Yeah, the whole idea is to marshal numbers and get him impeached. Now, getting Sonko impeached is not easy. Yeah, because for starters, Nairobi County is not a Jubilee zone. Yeah, the MCA is also from the opposition. So unlike the way Parliament was a short while ago, you can't just issue instructions and all the people in the House follow instruction to the letter. It can't happen. Not only that, Mike Sonko is fighting back, and is fighting back very hard. And then, to make matters worse, Mike Sonko is being backed by DP William Ruto. Now, even if you're the most powerful army in the world, the most equipped army in the world, fighting on too many battlefronts is asking for defeat. The preferred strategy is you deal with one battlefront at a time. Yeah, finish off with that, then move to the next one. However, that is not the thinking of our radical friends. Yeah, and that should be very clear. Now, I think we can bring the drone down from up there high in the sky, because I believe now things are much more clearer to all of us. Are they not? Now, I need to say something before I go away. Now, according to what I see at the moment, and in my view, yes, and according to what some spiritual people are saying, it is highly likely that the country called Kenya will not go into a referendum. And the most likely thing that will happen is that unfolding events in Kenya, will overtake the referendum or the plan for referendum. Now, in my view, and I know this is going to be very controversial, in my view, actually, what is the problem in Kenya? We had a problem in 2007, so we gifted ourselves with a new constitution. Yeah, a constitution that many experts have said, is the best in the world, amongst the best in the world. But that has not worked to heal the situation. That has not worked to correct the problems we're trying to correct. And why is that? Well, the main reason is the people, not the constitution. It is the people who are in charge of Kenya, the wenye inchi, yeah, not the wana inchi, the wenye inchi, the owners of Kenya. They have just very stubbornly refused to change. Because the truth is, the experts envisaged that whoever was elected president of Kenya would not have a majority in parliament. And therefore, immediately, that would be a very important check and balance on the powers of the president. But what happened instead? We got this business of pop. Yeah? So the result is the numbers in parliament are fixed. Number of legislators are fiddled with, yeah, so as to ensure the president has a majority at all costs. In my view, if nobody was to interfere with our elections, if they completely stayed out, the president or whoever is elected president would not have an absolute majority in parliament. And that would dramatically reduce the powers of the presidency. So, there would be no need for a referendum to change the constitution and introduce a prime minister. There would be no need. In other words, if we have a strong independent judiciary, yeah, we have a president who does not have a majority in the House, yeah, and a president who is always ready to follow court orders, yeah, who respects the independence of the judiciary, then we would not have a problem in Kenya. The excesses of the executive and those surrounding him, yeah, or her, would be dealt with very easily by the judiciary. It would also be dealt with very easily by a very independent parliament. Problem solved. And then when you add the fact that the counties, yeah, are supposed to be very strong, indeed they're getting stronger by the day, we ensure that the situation where the funds allocated to them are sent to them on time. Yeah, we're not trying to give excuses that, oh, there's corruption. If we send the money there, people will eat this money. Corrupt people will siphon away this money. No, just let the system work. Send the counties their cash on time. Now, in that kind of scenario, powerful counties, strong independent judiciary, a parliament that is not a rubber stamp parliament, yeah, we would have all our problems solved. Indeed, almost all our problems solved. And those that have not been solved, yeah, would be solved by the legislature. Yeah, they would pass laws to correct situations. Yeah, laws which are based on the good of the common man, not laws which are based on what has been decided in State House. That is my view. And in saying I don't see the country going to a referendum, I could be wrong. I accept that. Yeah, but that's how I see it right now. Now, I've always been criticized here by some people. Yeah, actually the 36 bloggers. They're always very quick to say, oh, Chris, you're always changing your mind. Now, of course, somebody who writes such a comment does not understand politics. Because of the nature of politics, politics is very fluid. Yeah, when I give you a view or a comment now, the situation could change tomorrow. So what do you want me to do? You want me to save face and stick stubbornly to that opinion of yesterday, which is no longer true, because the circumstances have changed? Is that what you want me to do, 36 bloggers? Anyway, the truth also is that the situation has changed very dramatically for the 36 bloggers. They are no longer as powerful as they were before. And it also seems that right now they're very confused. And so the truth is that in recent days, they have gone very quiet. They have stopped their manenos on this channel. Whatever they were doing has been toned down dramatically. Folks, despite the denials, there's something definitely happening with the 36 bloggers. And whatever that thing is, it's big. It's huge. Yeah? Anyway, I need to go now. Actually, I'm very grateful that I've been able to do this recording, because the truth is I'm not feeling well. I've had a very serious attack of malaria. Yeah? Nafikiri mvua imekuja na malaria nyingi sana. Yeah? Therefore, I'm under a lot of strong medication. Yeah? I do a lot of rest, so you'll excuse me. Maybe the videos will not be so many. But I'm grateful that I've managed to do this one. I don't think I sounded weak anywhere. Maybe I laughed less. Maybe my laugh was weaker. Yeah? But I think I've been able to deliver a good recording. Something good for Kenyans to chew on and understand what the current political situation is. But I'm strong, and I guess, God willing, in the next 4 or 5 days, I'll have fully recovered and back to being very strong. I'm not looking for sympathy. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Yeah, so that going forward, if you see on a day I've not done any recording, you'll know what's happening. Okay? But all will be well. Okay? Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.